What if your biggest dream suddenly became your greatest nightmare? Imagine standing on the cusp of making history, unveiling a plan so ambitious it could change humanity's future forever, only to have everything implode in a wave of public outrage. Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur known for Tesla and SpaceX, did exactly that when he announced his boldest mission yet, colonizing Mars. The world watched in awe as he described rockets that could ferry humans across the void of space to the Red Planet, promising a new era for mankind. His words ignited a spark of hope and wonder, but amid the cheers, an unexpected shadow emerged. A video surfaced on social media showing Elon in a moment of questionable behavior, a gesture many interpreted as a Nazi salute. The clip spread like wildfire, sparking intense backlash and fierce debates across every corner of the internet and news media. Suddenly, the man who dreamed of Mars was tangled in a storm that threatened to consume him and his mission. Was this a careless joke? A misunderstood moment? Or something darker? The controversy ripped through the public consciousness, dividing fans and critics, supporters and detractors alike. While SpaceX prepared to push the boundaries of human exploration, Elon Musk faced a far different battle on Earth, the fight to salvage his reputation and explain a moment that seemed so out of place for a man whose life was built on innovation and progress. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Born in Pretoria, South Africa, Elon's journey to becoming a household name was anything but smooth. From a young age, he was fascinated by computers and space. Bullied at school and often isolated, Elon found refuge in books and dreams of other worlds. His mother, May, a model and dietitian, and his father, Errol, had a complicated relationship that left Elon torn between admiration and resentment. Despite family challenges, Elon's determination never wavered. He moved to Canada at 17 and eventually to the United States, chasing the American dream with relentless energy. His early ventures in software and online payment systems showed glimpses of the brilliance and risk-taking that would define his career. Yet beneath the public persona was a man wrestling with personal demons, insecurities, and a sometimes ruthless drive to succeed at any cost. When Elon first spoke of Mars, many saw a visionary stepping beyond the limits of Earth. His SpaceX rockets were expensive gambles, often failing spectacularly before finally succeeding. Investors grew impatient, media grew skeptical, and his family sometimes voiced doubts about his obsession with space over more immediate concerns. Tensions ran high as Elon poured his fortune and reputation into the Mars dream. Then came the moment that changed everything. A video clip from a public event surfaced online, showing Elon raising his arm in what many believed was a Nazi salute. The backlash was immediate and furious. Headlines screamed accusations, social media filled with angry hashtags, and public opinion swung sharply against him. Elon's supporters scrambled to defend him, arguing the gesture was misunderstood or a poor attempt at humor. Critics called for boycotts and questioned his judgment and character. The controversy spilled over into his personal life, straining relationships and casting a dark cloud over SpaceX's ambitious plans. Elon retreated into himself, struggling to process how a single moment could overshadow decades of work and vision. Meanwhile, his team worked frantically to control the narrative, reaching out to civil rights groups and historians to contextualize the incident. But trust was hard to regain, and the Mars mission seemed at risk of being derailed not by technology, but by public outrage. As the storm raged, Elon faced his deepest fears and insecurities. Memories of his youth, the bullying, the family conflicts, and the weight of history pressed upon him. He realized that symbols and gestures carried meanings far beyond his intentions, touching wounds that ran deep in society. With support from unexpected allies, Elon embarked on a journey of reflection and education, seeking to repair not only his reputation but also his understanding of the world he aimed to help reshape. Through moments of despair and glimmers of hope, the story unfolds as Elon Musk's Mars dreams collide with a backlash that tests his character, resilience, and the future of humanity's reach for the stars. The question remains, Can a man who dares to dream so big also learn from the shadows his mistakes cast? This story is not just about one man, but about how society judges visionaries, the power of forgiveness, and the enduring human spirit that pushes us forward against all odds. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where we dive deeper into Elon's early life and the roots of his extraordinary ambitions. Elon Musk's story begins long before rockets and headlines, in a childhood marked by curiosity, isolation, and a fierce desire to escape the ordinary. Born in Pretoria, South Africa, in 1971, Elon grew up in a family that was both nurturing and complicated. His mother, May Musk, was a model and dietitian who instilled in him a sense of independence and resilience, encouraging his interests in science and technology. His father, Errol Musk, was a South African electromechanical engineer, but the relationship between Elon and his father was fraught with tension and emotional distance, coloring much of Elon's early life. As a boy, Elon was intensely curious. He devoured books on physics, computers, and space exploration, often retreating into his own world to avoid the bullying and loneliness he faced at school. His intelligence made him a target for classmates, and his introverted nature meant he had few close friends. These early hardships left emotional scars but also forged a resolve to succeed on his own terms. Elon's fascination with technology manifested early. At age 10, he taught himself computer programming, and by 12, he created and sold a video game called Blaster. These early achievements gave him a taste of the power his mind could wield, setting him apart from other kids. Despite his intellect and drive, the family dynamics were challenging. Elon's parents divorced when he was young, and custody battles and complicated emotions made home life unstable. His relationship with his father was distant and at times cold, while his mother remained a steadfast supporter of his dreams. These contrasts shaped Elon's emotional world. He craved approval but often felt misunderstood. In his teens, Elon dreamed not just of success, but of something greater, reaching beyond Earth. Inspired by science fiction and real-world space missions, he imagined humanity spreading across the solar system, escaping the fragile confines of Earth. This vision became the seed for what would one day grow into SpaceX. At 17, Elon moved to Canada to attend Queen's University, seeking a path to the United States and new opportunities. The move was both exciting and isolating. He was far from family and familiar surroundings but determined to build a future. After 2 years, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned degrees in physics and economics, sharpening his understanding of both technology and business. In the early 1990s, Elon moved to Silicon Valley, plunging into the burgeoning tech world. His first company, Zip2, was a modest success, selling for nearly $300 million. Next came X.com, an online payment company that evolved into PayPal and revolutionized e-commerce. Along the way, Elon's relentless work ethic and bold ideas earned him both admirers and critics. He was known for pushing teams to their limits, sometimes to the point of exhaustion, and for a vision that seemed almost too audacious to be real. Behind the scenes, Elon's personal life was complicated. His first marriage to Justine Musk ended in divorce, and he experienced the joys and pains of fatherhood with his children. Relationships were often strained by his obsessive work schedule and the public scrutiny that followed him. When Elon founded SpaceX in 2002, many saw it as a risky gamble. The idea of a private company building rockets was novel and met with skepticism. Early failures with rocket launches drained resources and morale. Investors questioned whether Elon's Mars dreams were realistic or reckless fantasies. Despite the setbacks, Elon pushed forward, driven by a deep belief that humanity's survival depended on becoming a multiplanetary species. This mission was more than business, it was a personal crusade. His relationships with key people, including his brother Kimball, who managed some of his ventures, and longtime confidants, shaped his approach. Elon's leadership style was demanding but visionary, inspiring loyalty as well as fear. His ambition often created conflict within his companies and family, but it also propelled extraordinary achievements. In parallel with SpaceX, Tesla Motors became another battleground. Elon's belief in sustainable energy and electric vehicles was revolutionary but fraught with challenges. Production delays, financial crises, and public skepticism tested his resilience. Throughout these struggles, Elon's psychological landscape was complex, a blend of intense drive, perfectionism, vulnerability, and moments of self-doubt. He battled public controversies, personal criticism, and the heavy burden of expectations. The Mars mission became a symbol of hope and obsession. Elon saw it as humanity's next step, a way to unite people around a purpose greater than themselves. Yet this vision also isolated him further, sometimes alienating those closest to him who worried about the risks and costs. His deep-seated need to prove himself, to escape the shadows of his difficult past, fueled his relentless pace. Family relationships played a crucial role in shaping Elon's motivations. His mother's encouragement was a beacon through turbulent times, her stories of independence and self-reliance reinforcing his belief that anything was possible. Meanwhile, his father's critical nature created an internal tension that pushed Elon to seek approval through achievement rather than emotional connection. Friendships were scarce but meaningful. Elon's inner circle was small but fiercely loyal, people who understood his intensity and shared his vision. These bonds became lifelines during moments of crisis. Emotionally, Elon's journey was marked by contradictions. He could be cold and distant yet deeply passionate, abrasive yet visionary. His early experiences of rejection and isolation hardened him but also made him crave connection and legacy. The weight of being seen as both a genius and a flawed figure weighed heavily. This complexity is essential to understanding the man behind the headlines. As the Mars mission gained momentum, Elon's personal history remained a silent undercurrent, influencing decisions and responses to public scrutiny. His childhood experiences of alienation echoed in his public battles with misunderstanding and criticism. The controversy over the Nazi salute gesture was especially poignant given this background. Symbols of hate and division cut deep, and Elon's own complicated relationship with identity and history added layers of meaning to the public reaction. Despite this, Elon's psychological resilience showed in his ability to reflect and adapt. While initially defensive, he gradually sought to understand the impact of his actions and words, engaging in difficult conversations about race, history, and responsibility. This evolution was neither smooth nor complete, but it marked a turning point in his personal growth. By delving into Elon Musk's early life and the emotional forces that shaped him, we see the foundation of a man driven not just by ambition but by a profound desire to change the world. His childhood struggles, family dynamics, and early successes created a complex personality capable of both remarkable vision and human error. Understanding this is crucial as the story unfolds, where dreams of Mars collide with the harsh realities of public backlash and personal reckoning. In the next chapter, we will explore how the rising conflict around Elon's Mars ambitions and the Nazi salute controversy escalated, revealing deeper tensions and challenges. Elon Musk's journey is far from over, and his story reminds us that even the brightest dreams can be shadowed by human flaws and the weight of history. As Elon Musk's vision for Mars began to capture the imagination of the world, the path forward was anything but smooth. The dream of colonizing another planet came with technical hurdles, financial pressures, and personal sacrifices that tested Elon and everyone around him. SpaceX faced failure after failure in its early rocket launches, each setback a blow to morale and credibility. The first 3 Falcon 1 rockets failed to reach orbit, draining investors' patience and threatening to bankrupt the company. Elon's unyielding determination kept the team pushing forward, but tensions rose as the pressure mounted. Internally, disagreements flared between engineers, managers, and Elon himself. Some questioned whether the Mars mission was realistic or just an obsession blinding him to practical concerns. The media was merciless, calling SpaceX reckless and Elon irresponsible. At home, the relentless work schedule took its toll on Elon's relationships. His then-wife, Justine, struggled with the long hours and emotional distance, and even close friends noticed the strain. Elon's single-minded focus alienated many, leaving him isolated even as he fought to save his company and his dream. Meanwhile, Tesla was battling its own crises. Production delays and quality issues drew harsh criticism. Elon was often in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons, from public outbursts to controversial tweets that rattled investors. This compounded the pressure on him to prove his vision could succeed. Then came the moment that would thrust Elon into an entirely different kind of conflict, the Nazi salute controversy. During a public event streamed live, a brief clip circulated online showing Elon raising his arm in a manner widely interpreted as a Nazi salute. Whether it was a joke, a careless gesture, or something else entirely, the public reaction was swift and explosive. Outrage erupted on social media as users condemned the act as offensive and hateful. News outlets picked up the story, framing Elon as reckless and insensitive. The backlash was intense, touching a nerve in a society still deeply aware of the horrors of Nazism and the power of such symbols. Supporters scrambled to explain the context, suggesting the gesture was misunderstood or a misguided attempt at humor. Critics were unforgiving, demanding apologies and consequences. The controversy created an immediate and dangerous rift between Elon and the public. It seemed as if the Mars mission, which had inspired hope, was now overshadowed by anger and distrust. Within SpaceX, the incident caused alarm. Executives and PR teams rushed to contain the fallout, preparing statements and reaching out to advocacy groups. Elon himself faced an emotional storm. Public criticism stirred memories of his own experiences with misunderstanding and alienation, but this time on a much larger scale. He grappled with guilt, frustration, and confusion. Was the backlash fair? Was he truly responsible for the pain caused by a moment he had not intended to hurt anyone? The media frenzy only intensified as more videos and photos were analyzed, fueling speculation about Elon's character and beliefs. This scrutiny seeped into his personal life, with family members and friends feeling the pressure. The stress threatened to fracture the support network Elon had relied on. Despite the chaos, Elon's core team encouraged him to stay focused on the mission, reminding him of the bigger picture. Yet balancing the demands of public relations with the urgency of technological innovation was nearly impossible. The public was divided. Some continued to admire Elon's genius and vision, believing the gesture was blown out of proportion. Others saw it as proof of a deeper recklessness or worse. Social media became a battleground, with heated debates, conspiracy theories, and calls for boycotts. The controversy exposed a deeper cultural divide about accountability, intent, and the role of public figures in society. Elon's response evolved over time. Initially defensive, he later issued statements acknowledging the offense caused and expressing regret for the pain his actions brought. He sought dialogue with historians and civil rights leaders, aiming to educate himself and his audience about the weight of symbols and the importance of sensitivity. This process was difficult and public, with many watching to see if Elon would grow or retreat. Through this turbulent period, the Mars mission itself continued to advance. SpaceX achieved a series of successful launches and milestones, inching closer to making crewed Mars missions a reality. Elon's vision remained a beacon for many, a reminder of humanity's potential to overcome earthly challenges. However, the shadow of controversy complicated fundraising, partnerships, and public support. Internally, Elon faced new challenges. Some employees questioned whether his behavior endangered the company's future. Board members pushed for more oversight and changes in leadership style. Elon struggled to balance his impulsive nature with the demands of running a global enterprise under intense scrutiny. The controversy also exposed the fragile nature of celebrity and the high cost of public mistakes in the digital age. Elon's case became a cautionary tale about how one moment can redefine a legacy. Yet amid the conflict, moments of hope emerged. Supporters rallied, sharing stories of Elon's positive impact on technology and climate change. Some advocacy groups appreciated his efforts to engage and learn. Friends and family offered unwavering support, reminding Elon of his humanity beyond headlines. The tension between despair and hope became a defining feature of this chapter in Elon's life. This climax, hope. Climax, pattern echoed in the broader story, showing how difficult moments can also be catalysts for growth and understanding. As public opinion fluctuated, Elon began to rethink not just his communication but his leadership philosophy. He explored ways to foster a more inclusive culture within SpaceX and Tesla, promoting diversity and dialogue. These efforts were imperfect and met with skepticism, but they marked a shift toward accountability. The rising conflict surrounding Elon's Mars dream and the Nazi salute controversy revealed deep fractures in society's relationship with innovation, celebrity, and historical memory. Elon's experience underscored how visionary ideas cannot be divorced from the complex realities of human behavior and cultural sensitivity. The stakes were higher than ever, with the future of space exploration intertwined with the fragile fabric of public trust. Elon Musk stands at a crossroads, between defending a grand vision and confronting the personal and societal consequences of his actions. The road ahead would demand resilience, humility, and an unyielding commitment to learning from mistakes. The Mars dream, once purely a symbol of hope and progress, now carried the weight of controversy and redemption. The next chapter will delve into the unexpected turns Elon's journey would take as he began a deeper emotional reckoning and faced the broader implications of his past and present. His story continues to unfold, reminding us that even those who reach for the stars must navigate the shadows of their own humanity. After the storm of backlash over the controversial salute, Elon Musk's world shifted dramatically, plunging him into a new and unexpected journey of self-discovery, public reconciliation, and renewed ambition. The controversy forced Elon to confront not just the external criticism but internal questions about who he was and how his actions resonated far beyond his intentions. This chapter marks the beginning of that climactic journey, where the man behind the Mars mission would face a deeper, more personal challenge than any rocket launch or business deal. In the weeks following the incident, Elon withdrew from public appearances, retreating into intense reflection. The media frenzy had been relentless, and while some supporters stood by him, the weight of judgment was palpable. Elon's usual confidence was shaken. He realized that his global platform came with enormous responsibility, not just to shareholders and engineers, but to communities, histories, and the very culture that shaped humanity's values. This period of introspection was raw and difficult. Elon began meeting with historians, sociologists, and civil rights advocates to better understand the historical significance of the gesture that had ignited such fury. These conversations were eye-opening. He learned about the deep scars left by Nazism, the lingering pain in communities affected by hate, and the importance of symbols in shaping collective memory. Elon grappled with the realization that, despite his intentions, his actions had hurt people and reopened wounds that many hoped had begun to heal. Emotionally, the journey was harrowing. Elon had always seen himself as a man of reason and innovation, driven by data and logic. But the backlash revealed a gap in his emotional intelligence and awareness. He struggled with feelings of guilt, shame, and frustration, not only for the public fallout but for what this moment said about his own blind spots. Yet amid the darkness, Elon found a flicker of hope. He committed himself to growth and learning, recognizing that the path forward required more than denial or defensiveness. His resolve to build a future on Mars now extended to building bridges here on Earth, between himself and those he had offended, and between technology and the communities it impacted. This unexpected emotional journey transformed Elon's approach to leadership. Within SpaceX and Tesla, he initiated new diversity and inclusion programs, encouraging open dialogue and inviting employees to share their perspectives on culture and respect. He began public conversations about the role of tech leaders in shaping society, emphasizing empathy alongside innovation. These moves were met with mixed reactions. Some praised the sincerity, others doubted the timing or depth of change, but the effort marked a pivotal shift in Elon's public persona. Meanwhile, the Mars mission pressed on. With each successful launch and test, the vision of a multiplanetary future grew closer. Elon poured himself into the technical challenges with renewed vigor, channeling the lessons of his personal reckoning into a determination to prove that humanity could rise above its mistakes. The SpaceX facilities buzzed with energy, engineers and astronauts united behind a mission that transcended controversy. Vivid scenes of rocket launches and spacecraft tests filled media coverage, painting a picture of adventure and hope. Elon's descriptions of Mars, red deserts, frozen plains, and the possibility of life, captivated imaginations worldwide. He spoke passionately about the need for humanity to become a spacefaring species, warning of Earth's fragility and the risks of remaining a single-planet civilization. This narrative provided a dramatic counterpoint to the turmoil on Earth, creating a sense of epic adventure and possibility. Yet the emotional undercurrent remained. Elon was no longer just a distant genius but a man wrestling with his flaws, seeking redemption through action and understanding. The intersection of his personal growth and professional ambition made the story feel like a journey of transformation. SpaceX's operations expanded rapidly, with the development of the Starship spacecraft designed specifically for Mars missions. The design was ambitious. Capable of carrying dozens of people and vast amounts of cargo across millions of miles of space. The launch sites in Texas and Florida became hubs of activity and innovation, with teams working around the clock to overcome engineering challenges. The scenes at these sites were cinematic, massive rockets standing tall against wide-open skies, flames and smoke billowing as engines roared to life, and the quiet focus of engineers monitoring every parameter with intense precision. Elon's presence was both inspiring and demanding. He pushed for breakthroughs while encouraging collaboration and resilience in the face of setbacks. But the emotional weight of recent events lingered. Elon often reflected on the symbolism of the journey itself. Mars was more than a destination, it was a metaphor for human potential and redemption. The possibility of a new beginning on another planet mirrored his own desire to rebuild trust and meaning on Earth. This dual narrative, of outer space exploration and inner transformation, gave his mission a poetic dimension. Friends and close colleagues noted a change in Elon's demeanor. The arrogance and impulsiveness they sometimes saw were tempered by moments of humility and introspection. He spoke openly about the need to listen and learn, about the value of forgiveness and the complexities of leadership. Yet the journey was far from over. The shadow of the Nazi salute controversy still loomed, occasionally flaring up in media cycles or public discussions. Elon understood that healing was a process, not a single event. The experience had exposed vulnerabilities but also opened pathways to empathy and connection. In this new chapter of his life, Elon embraced the challenges of reconciliation as integral to his broader vision. The public's reaction evolved as well. Some who had been harsh critics softened their stance, acknowledging Elon's efforts to understand and grow. Others remained skeptical, wary of the sincerity behind the gestures. Social media debates continued but took on a more nuanced tone. Importantly, the controversy sparked wider conversations about accountability, symbolism, and the role of leaders in society, dialogues that extended beyond Elon himself to touch broader cultural issues. This unexpected consequence of the backlash revealed how personal mistakes by public figures can catalyze collective reflection and change. As Elon's journey unfolded, the tension between hope and hardship persisted. Each success at SpaceX was tempered by the awareness of past missteps. Each public statement was weighed against the need for authenticity and responsibility. The interplay of light and shadow, ambition and humility, made the story compelling and deeply human. This climactic journey also brought Elon closer to those who had once felt alienated by his behavior. Conversations with family, friends, and employees deepened, fostering understanding and healing. Elon learned to express vulnerability without losing strength, to accept criticism without shrinking, and to hold on to his dreams while embracing his imperfections. The vivid descriptions of these moments, quiet talks late at night, tense meetings resolving conflicts, and breakthroughs both technical and personal, created a rich tapestry of drama and emotion. In the background, the Mars mission continued to inspire. Public interest surged as SpaceX prepared for its first crewed flights beyond Earth's orbit. Elon's message was clear: humanity must unite in the pursuit of exploration, innovation, and survival. The stakes were existential, the promise breathtaking. The journey was as much about humanity's future as it was about one man's redemption. The emotional climax of this chapter arrives when Elon, in a rare public interview, openly acknowledges the pain caused by the Nazi salute controversy. He shares his learning process, the conversations that changed his perspective, and his commitment to being a better leader and person. This moment resonates deeply, touching audiences worldwide. The mixture of regret, hope, and determination creates a powerful connection between Elon and the public, demonstrating that even the most flawed individuals can grow and inspire. Yet the story does not end with closure. The controversy and Elon's response remain a dynamic force shaping his path forward. The next chapters will explore how these lessons influence his leadership style, the Mars mission's progress, and his evolving relationships. The story emphasizes that growth is ongoing, marked by setbacks and triumphs, doubts and revelations. Ultimately, Elon Musk's climactic journey is a testament to the human capacity for change, the power of vision, and the enduring hope that drives us to reach beyond ourselves. The vivid, cinematic scenes of rocket launches, heartfelt conversations, and public reckonings create a narrative that feels both epic and intimate. As Elon's story continues, readers are invited to reflect on their own challenges and the possibilities for redemption and new beginnings. The emotional climax of Elon Musk's turbulent journey came unexpectedly, yet with a force that shook both his inner world and the wider public. After months of reflection, growth, and the painstaking work of rebuilding trust, Elon found himself at a critical crossroads where the personal and the professional collided with dramatic intensity. The moment was not marked by a triumphant rocket launch or a breakthrough technology but by a raw, unfiltered confrontation with truth, both his own and that of those around him. The setting was a live, global interview, broadcast to millions, where Elon was asked directly about the Nazi salute incident and its aftermath. For years, Elon had been known for his quick wit, confident deflections, and sometimes provocative statements, but this time, the atmosphere was different. The question came not from a hostile journalist but from someone who represented the voices of those hurt and angered by the gesture. Elon's initial reaction was hesitation, an instinct to shield himself from blame, but then, in a rare moment of vulnerability, he paused. What followed was a heartfelt acknowledgement of the pain his actions had caused, an admission that he had been insensitive and reckless, and a sincere expression of regret. He spoke candidly about the learning process he had undergone, the conversations with historians and community leaders that reshaped his understanding, and the ongoing commitment to make amends. This moment of honesty resonated deeply with many viewers. It was a turning point not just for Elon's public image but for the narrative of his life. The mixture of remorse and hope created an emotional crescendo that made the story feel profoundly human, a powerful reminder that even the most visionary leaders carry flaws and must reckon with them. But just as the wave of hope began to swell, another challenge struck. In the days following the interview, a new controversy emerged when old emails surfaced suggesting Elon had previously dismissed concerns about offensive behavior in his companies. Critics seized on this information, accusing him of hypocrisy and undermining the progress he claimed to have made. This renewed climax of conflict threatened to unravel the fragile trust rebuilding effort. Elon found himself once again facing intense scrutiny, the public divided between those willing to believe in his growth and those demanding harsher accountability. The hope, climax pattern repeated itself in a brutal echo, reinforcing the high stakes of navigating public life with honesty and humility. Emotionally, Elon was pushed to his limits. The renewed backlash reopened wounds of isolation and self-doubt, but also steeled his resolve to stay the course. Support from close friends and family became a lifeline, reminding him that growth was never linear and that setbacks were part of the journey. Within SpaceX and Tesla, the controversy sparked heated discussions about culture and values. Employees debated how to balance forgiveness with accountability and how leadership must model both. Elon engaged openly in these conversations, sharing his own struggles and encouraging a culture of transparency. These internal dynamics added layers of tension and hope, illustrating the complexities of change within large organizations. Outside the companies, the public discourse grew more nuanced. Opinion pieces, podcasts, and social media conversations explored the themes of redemption, the limits of cancel culture, and the role of empathy in public forgiveness. Elon's story became a case study for how society grapples with accountability in an age of instant communication and heightened awareness. This broader cultural dialogue added depth and relevance to the narrative, connecting Elon's personal experience to universal questions. Amidst this turmoil, the Mars mission continued its relentless advance. The Starship prototypes underwent rigorous testing, with spectacular successes and dramatic failures broadcast live. The tension of these moments. The explosive test flights, the narrow escapes, the final triumphs, mirrored Elon's personal struggles. Each launch carried symbolic weight, a demonstration that despite controversy and conflict, progress was possible. Elon's leadership took on new meaning as he balanced visionary ambition with a growing sense of responsibility and empathy. He began to speak publicly about the connection between exploration and humility, urging humanity to approach the future with respect for both technology and the values that bind societies together. These messages struck a chord with many, reinvigorating support for SpaceX's goals and expanding the conversation about the ethics of space colonization. Elon's relationships also evolved in this period of emotional climax. His family life, strained by years of distance and controversy, showed signs of healing as he made efforts to reconnect and be present. Friendships deepened through honest conversations, while new alliances formed with leaders in social justice and education, bridging the worlds of technology and activism. These personal developments added richness to the story, demonstrating how growth in one area can ripple outwards. The emotional tension of this chapter reached its peak in a powerful scene where Elon visits a Holocaust memorial, a place he had avoided for years. Standing among the names and stories etched in stone, he experiences a profound moment of humility and sorrow. This visit becomes a turning point, deepening his commitment to education, remembrance, and promoting tolerance. The vivid descriptions of the memorial's quiet solemnity and Elon's internal reflections create an intense, cinematic moment of reckoning. This scene symbolizes the emotional climax not just of the controversy but of Elon's journey toward understanding the gravity of history and the importance of empathy in leadership. Despite the heavy emotions, the chapter ends with a hopeful note. Elon announces a new philanthropic initiative dedicated to education about hate, history, and inclusion, tying it directly to SpaceX's mission to inspire a better future. The program aims to fund scholarships, community projects, and cultural dialogues, signaling a shift from controversy to constructive action. This resolution reflects the story's underlying message, that even amid great conflict and mistakes, there is the potential for meaningful growth and positive change. As this chapter closes, the reader is left with a complex portrait of Elon Musk, brilliant and flawed, ambitious and reflective, controversial yet inspiring. The emotional climax reveals the power of vulnerability and accountability in transforming not just individual lives but the culture around them. The Mars dream remains alive, now enriched by a deeper understanding of what it means to lead with conscience and courage. The next chapter will explore how this emotional turning point influences Elon's vision for the future, his leadership style, and the ongoing quest to unite humanity's hopes with its responsibilities. The story continues, a vivid tapestry of tension and hope, conflict and redemption, reminding us all that the path to greatness is rarely straight but always worth traveling. With the emotional climax behind him, Elon Musk entered a new phase of his journey marked by resolution and reflection. The storm of controversy had settled into a quieter, more thoughtful atmosphere where the focus shifted from defending past mistakes to building a future that honored the lessons learned. Elon embraces a deeper maturity, both personally and professionally, transforming his vision and leadership with hard-won wisdom. Elon's days became filled with a renewed sense of purpose grounded not only in technology and exploration but in the values that bind communities and define humanity's potential. He dedicated himself to fostering an environment at SpaceX and Tesla that prioritized empathy, respect, and inclusivity alongside innovation and risk-taking. Meetings once dominated by rapid-fire technical discussions now included conversations about culture, ethics, and social responsibility. Elon encouraged employees to bring their whole selves to work, acknowledging the power of diverse perspectives in solving complex problems and pushing the boundaries of possibility. This cultural shift was neither easy nor universally welcomed. Some longtime staff bristled at the changes, skeptical of the new emphasis on emotional intelligence. Others embraced the transformation enthusiastically, seeing it as essential to the company's future. Elon navigated these tensions with growing patience, understanding that meaningful change is a gradual, sometimes painful process. He openly shared his own struggles and growth, modeling vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. Beyond his companies, Elon's public messaging evolved significantly. He used interviews, speeches, and social media to communicate not just the technical marvels of space travel but the philosophical and ethical dimensions of humanity's future among the stars. Elon spoke about the responsibility to build societies that are just, compassionate, and resilient, reminding his audience that exploration was inseparable from the lessons of history and the ongoing fight against hatred and division. These messages struck a chord with many and sparked new conversations about the role of science and technology in shaping a better world. Elon's philanthropic efforts expanded as well, with increased funding and focus on education, diversity initiatives, and community engagement. The program dedicated to hate awareness and inclusion, announced in the previous chapter, grew into a multifaceted foundation partnering with schools, museums, and advocacy groups. Elon personally participated in panels and workshops, sharing his story as a cautionary tale and a beacon of hope for growth and reconciliation. This work added a profound new dimension to Elon's public identity, showing a commitment to healing wounds and fostering understanding beyond mere words. Meanwhile, the Mars mission advanced steadily, fueled by the combined power of visionary ambition and the evolving cultural ethos within SpaceX. The Starship program achieved critical milestones, including the first successful orbital flight tests with full-scale prototypes. These triumphs electrified the space community and the public, reigniting enthusiasm for humanity's cosmic future. Elon's presentations of Mars colonization plans became richer, blending vivid scientific detail with stories of human resilience, cooperation, and the promise of a fresh start. The launch sites in Texas became symbolic places where technology and humanity met. A place where dreams took shape but also where the commitment to ethical exploration was clear. Elon's leadership style in these efforts reflected his growth. He balanced bold risk-taking with careful consideration of consequences, consulting a broad range of experts and community voices. He fostered an environment where failure was embraced as a learning opportunity but accountability remained paramount. The company culture reflected a maturing ethos that honored both innovation and humanity. This approach helped SpaceX attract new talent and partnerships, including collaborations with international space agencies and scientific organizations. Elon's vision of Mars as a unifying project for humanity gained credibility and momentum. On a personal level, Elon found greater peace and connection. His relationships with family and close friends deepened, nourished by honesty and shared vulnerability. The tensions and estrangements that once marked his private life softened, replaced by mutual support and understanding. Elon also explored mindfulness and emotional health practices, recognizing that sustaining a high-pressure career required balance and self-care. These changes enriched his capacity to lead with empathy and resilience. The resolution of Elon's story in this chapter is not a neat conclusion but a profound philosophical reflection on the nature of life, love, and sacrifice. Elon muses on how the challenges he faced, public mistakes, personal growth, the push for interplanetary exploration, are part of a larger human story of striving and transformation. He acknowledges the imperfections and contradictions that make life complex and beautiful, emphasizing that progress is never linear but always worth pursuing. The chapter closes with a poignant scene of Elon standing beneath the night sky, gazing up at the stars that have inspired him since childhood. In this quiet moment, he reflects on the journey from controversy to hope, from isolation to connection, and from reckless ambition to mature vision. The vastness of space serves as a metaphor for both the unknown challenges ahead and the limitless potential within. The final lines offer a meaningful message: life is full of surprises, but love and understanding will always guide the way forward. This resolution ties together the themes of the story: ambition tempered by humility, conflict balanced by hope, and dreams anchored in compassion. As readers close this chapter, they are left with a sense of completion and possibility, inspired by the transformative power of facing one's flaws and choosing to grow. The story of Elon Musk's Mars dreams and the Nazi salute backlash is a vivid illustration of how human beings can rise from their darkest moments to build a better future. The next chapters will explore the ongoing challenges and triumphs in Elon's leadership and personal life, continuing to weave tension and hope into a compelling narrative of innovation, redemption, and the enduring quest to reach for the stars. Despite the emotional resolution and renewed commitment to growth, Elon Musk's journey was far from over. The complex interplay of his Mars ambitions and the lingering shadows of past controversies continued to shape every facet of his life and work, revealing new challenges and unexpected twists that would test his resilience and leadership like never before. Elon stepping back into the public arena more fully, determined to prove that his vision for humanity's future could transcend past mistakes. But this re-emergence was met with mixed reactions, a volatile blend of cautious optimism, persistent skepticism, and renewed scrutiny. The world watched closely, hungry for signs that Elon had truly changed but ready to pounce on any misstep. This tension set the stage for a high-stakes period where Elon's every move could tip the balance between redemption and relapse. The chapter begins with a major event. A highly anticipated SpaceX launch ceremony intended to mark a new era of space exploration. The launch was to be a showcase of Starship's latest capabilities, a symbolic step toward Elon's ultimate goal of Mars colonization. The atmosphere was electric, media from around the globe converged, investors and government officials gathered, and millions tuned in online. Elon, now visibly more grounded yet still fiercely passionate, delivered a stirring speech that blended technical brilliance with a heartfelt appeal for unity and responsibility. He acknowledged his past missteps candidly, framing them as lessons that deepened his understanding of leadership and the human spirit. The speech was a moment of vulnerability and strength intertwined, designed to inspire confidence without glossing over reality. As the countdown commenced, the tension mounted. The rocket's engines ignited with a thunderous roar, flames blazing beneath the gleaming Starship. It lifted steadily, cutting through the sky in a blaze of triumph. The crowd erupted in applause, the launch broadcast worldwide as a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. For a moment, hope surged, suggesting that Elon's vision was not only intact but gaining momentum. Yet, this peak of hope was soon tested. Within hours of the launch, reports surfaced of technical glitches that could delay the next phase of the Mars mission. The news sparked a wave of criticism, with detractors quick to question Elon's leadership and the feasibility of his goals. Social media buzzed with harsh commentary, and some media outlets framed the issues as evidence that Elon's recklessness had caught up with him. This backlash reopened old wounds and reignited debates about accountability and vision in leadership. Emotionally, Elon felt the familiar sting of scrutiny but approached the challenge with newfound resilience. Rather than retreat, he engaged transparently with the public and his team, explaining the setbacks candidly while emphasizing the iterative nature of innovation. Elon's openness helped to temper some criticism, showing growth from his earlier defensive posture. Inside SpaceX, the pressure was intense. Engineers and staff worked around the clock to diagnose and fix the problems, embodying a culture of perseverance and collaboration. Elon joined the efforts, rolling up his sleeves alongside his teams, demonstrating a leader willing to share both the burden and the hope. These vivid scenes of problem-solving and human determination added a dramatic texture to the story, highlighting the tension and hope that define any ambitious endeavor. Meanwhile, the controversy around Elon's past behavior lingered in the background, occasionally resurfacing to complicate public perception. A notable incident involved a prominent social media influencer who accused Elon of failing to adequately address systemic issues within his companies, reigniting discussions about diversity and inclusion. Elon responded by doubling down on reforms, announcing new initiatives and transparent reporting mechanisms aimed at fostering a more equitable workplace. These moves drew a mix of praise and skepticism, underscoring the ongoing struggle to balance visionary leadership with social responsibility. This interplay of progress and challenge kept the narrative dynamic and engaging, illustrating the multifaceted reality of modern leadership. On a personal front, Elon's relationships continued to evolve. The strains and reconciliations with family members unfolded with raw emotional complexity, revealing a man learning to navigate intimacy and vulnerability in ways previously unfamiliar. Private moments of reflection and connection contrasted with the public spectacle of his life, adding depth and nuance to the story. Elon's friendships, too, were tested and strengthened as he leaned on trusted confidants for support and counsel. These intimate glimpses humanized Elon, showing the interplay of strength and fragility that defines even the most extraordinary figures. The chapter also introduces new characters, scientists, activists, and visionaries who join Elon's circle, bringing fresh perspectives and challenges. Their diverse voices enrich the narrative, reflecting broader societal debates about technology, ethics, and the future. These alliances and tensions create a rich tapestry of ideas and conflicts, keeping the story vibrant and thought-provoking. Vivid descriptions of the Texas launch site, with its sprawling facilities and buzzing activity, ground the story in tangible reality. The contrast between the cutting-edge technology and the raw human emotions unfolding there creates a cinematic quality that draws readers in. Elon's personal quarters, the bustling control rooms, and the serene night skies over the desert all serve as settings where the drama of innovation and introspection play out. As the chapter draws to a close, Elon faces a defining choice: to continue pushing forward with his Mars dreams despite setbacks and controversies, or to retreat into safety and silence. The tension is palpable, the stakes higher than ever. In a powerful final scene, Elon stands alone at the launch pad under the stars, contemplating the vastness of space and the weight of his responsibilities. The silence is broken only by the distant hum of machinery and the whisper of the desert wind. This moment encapsulates the story's central themes: ambition, redemption, resilience, and hope. Elon's internal dialogue reveals a man who understands that the path ahead will be fraught with challenges but is determined to face them with courage and humility. The chapter ends on a note of cautious optimism, inviting readers to join Elon on the next stage of his journey, a journey defined by complexity, passion, and the relentless pursuit of a dream that could change humanity forever. The aftermath of the launch setback and renewed public scrutiny marked the beginning of a pivotal chapter in Elon Musk's life and career, a period defined by a deeper reckoning with both the promise and peril of his ambitions. Elon grappling with the immense pressures that come with being at the forefront of technological innovation while under the relentless gaze of the world. The launch failure, while scientifically manageable, ignited a firestorm of criticism, rekindling doubts about the feasibility of Mars colonization and Elon's judgment. Yet, beneath the headlines and social media storms, Elon was undertaking an internal journey, confronting the fears, doubts, and hopes that had driven him for years. This chapter dives into the psychological landscape of a visionary wrestling with the weight of expectation and the human cost of pushing boundaries. Early scenes depict Elon in moments of solitude, walking the quiet halls of SpaceX's headquarters late at night, gazing at models of Starship, reflecting on the path that had brought him here. These scenes are interwoven with flashbacks to his childhood and earlier career, highlighting the recurring themes of risk, innovation, and resilience. The narrative explores how past successes and failures shaped his current mindset, creating a rich emotional texture that readers can connect with. As Elon processes the setback, he also renews his commitment to transparency and dialogue. Recognizing that rebuilding public trust requires more than technical success, he launches a series of open forums and live Q&A sessions where he directly addresses questions about the Mars mission, company culture, and his personal growth. These events reveal a more mature Elon, willing to admit mistakes and engage authentically with critics and supporters alike. The impact is significant. While some cynics remain, many viewers appreciate the candidness, and a more nuanced public conversation begins to emerge. Inside SpaceX, the chapter depicts a dynamic and intense environment as engineers, scientists, and technicians rally to learn from the failure and accelerate improvements. Elon's leadership during this time blends visionary inspiration with pragmatic problem-solving. He encourages collaboration across departments, fosters a culture where questioning assumptions is welcomed, and emphasizes the importance of ethical responsibility alongside innovation. These efforts result in tangible progress, with improved designs, testing protocols, and safety measures that build momentum toward the next launch attempt. The chapter also delves into the evolving internal culture at SpaceX, examining how the company grapples with the legacy of Elon's past controversies and the ongoing drive for inclusivity and respect. Diverse voices within the organization push for systemic change, and Elon listens attentively, recognizing that leadership means empowering others and sharing accountability. This subplot adds complexity and realism, showing the interplay between individual vision and collective values. Parallel to the professional challenges, Elon's personal life continues to deepen in complexity. Scenes portray his efforts to mend fractured relationships with family members, marked by both breakthroughs and setbacks. These moments are portrayed with emotional honesty, illustrating how public figures must balance the demands of global ambitions with the intimate needs of loved ones. Elon's growing awareness of the importance of empathy and presence enhances his leadership and personal growth alike. The chapter also introduces new characters who influence Elon's journey: educators, activists, and scientists who challenge him to think differently about the ethical dimensions of space colonization and technological impact. Their perspectives provoke thoughtful dialogue and sometimes tension, pushing Elon to refine his vision and approach. This infusion of fresh ideas and values enriches the narrative and underscores the story's theme of growth through diversity and reflection. Descriptive passages bring to life the settings where the story unfolds, from the high-tech laboratories and launch pads to the quiet moments under the night sky. The contrast between the vastness of space and the immediacy of human emotion creates a cinematic atmosphere that immerses readers. Elon's reflections on the stars and the fragile Earth below add a philosophical layer, contemplating humanity's place in the cosmos and the responsibilities that come with exploration. As the chapter moves toward its climax, Elon prepares for the next major Starship test flight. The tension is palpable, not just because of the technical challenges but because this launch symbolizes more than progress. It represents Elon's commitment to learning from failure, embracing accountability, and advancing a vision grounded in hope and humility. The launch sequence is described with vivid detail: the countdown, ignition, liftoff, and ascent, all unfolding amid the eyes of a watchful world. This successful flight reignites enthusiasm and marks a critical milestone in Elon's quest. The chapter closes with Elon reflecting on the journey ahead, acknowledging that the path to Mars will be long and fraught with obstacles but inspired by the resilience of the human spirit and the promise of a united future. The final lines emphasize the story's core message, that true leadership requires courage not just to dream but to face failure openly, to grow through challenge, and to lead with both vision and heart. This resolution leaves readers with a sense of cautious optimism and anticipation for the continuing story of Elon Musk's Mars dreams and the complex human saga behind them. Following the triumph of the latest Starship test flight, Elon Musk found himself at a crossroads where technology, ambition, and public perception intertwined in increasingly complex ways. Explores this critical juncture, capturing the shifting dynamics between Elon's personal evolution, his company's innovations, and the wider cultural and political landscape that both supports and challenges his vision. Elon navigating a high-profile summit on space exploration and technology innovation, where global leaders, scientists, and activists convene to discuss humanity's future beyond Earth. The event is a microcosm of the broader tensions shaping Elon's journey: optimism clashing with skepticism, visionary dreams confronting ethical dilemmas, and collaboration complicated by competing interests. Elon arrives with a mix of confidence and humility, aware that his role as a public figure demands not just technical genius but diplomatic acumen and emotional intelligence. The summit scenes are vivid and detailed, painting a picture of vibrant debates, tense negotiations, and moments of unexpected solidarity. Elon's keynote speech emphasizes the urgency of uniting across nations and disciplines to achieve the dream of becoming a multiplanetary species. He articulates the practical challenges ahead, from sustainable life support systems to governance frameworks for off-world colonies, underscoring that success requires not only rockets but also values, justice, inclusion, and shared purpose. This speech is met with a range of reactions, from enthusiastic applause to cautious questioning, reflecting the complexity of the issues at stake. Amid these discussions, a significant subplot unfolds involving an international coalition proposing a code of ethics for space exploration. Elon initially expresses reservations, fearing that excessive regulation might stifle innovation, but over the course of the summit, he engages in candid dialogues that reshape his perspective. The chapter explores these moments of growth, illustrating how Elon's understanding of leadership expands beyond bold vision to encompass stewardship and responsibility. Back home, SpaceX is buzzing with activity as the teams work toward the first crewed Starship mission to the International Space Station, a key stepping stone for Mars colonization. The preparations are intense and meticulous, with engineers running simulations, astronauts undergoing training, and safety protocols being refined. Elon's hands-on leadership style is on full display. He participates in technical reviews, encourages open debate, and champions a culture of learning from mistakes. The narrative conveys the high stakes and emotional intensity of this phase, humanizing the technological marvel with stories of individual dedication and collective determination. Concurrently, Elon's personal life sees new developments. His relationship with his closest advisors and family members deepens, shaped by mutual respect and shared challenges. Private conversations reveal a more reflective and present Elon, who increasingly values connection and emotional authenticity. Yet, the demands of his public role continue to create tension, with moments of isolation and pressure that underscore the human cost of extraordinary ambition. The chapter also introduces a compelling new character, a young scientist and social activist who challenges Elon's assumptions about the social implications of space colonization. Through their interactions, the story explores themes of equity, environmental stewardship, and the need to address Earth's pressing problems even as humanity reaches for the stars. This dynamic adds richness to the narrative, presenting a nuanced dialogue between progress and responsibility. Descriptions of the SpaceX facilities, astronaut training centers, and the dramatic launch site evoke a cinematic atmosphere that grounds the technical details in vivid sensory experience. The night skies over Texas serve as a recurring motif, symbolizing both the vast unknown and the intimate dreams that drive human endeavor. As the chapter builds toward its climax, the crewed Starship launch approaches amid intense anticipation and scrutiny. The event is portrayed in gripping detail, the final checks, countdown, ignition, and liftoff, capturing the blend of excitement, anxiety, and hope shared by everyone involved. The successful mission marks a historic milestone, reaffirming Elon's vision and invigorating public enthusiasm. However, the victory also brings new questions about the future: how to govern space colonies, how to ensure inclusion and justice in these new societies. The chapter ends with Elon contemplating these challenges, recognizing that technological breakthroughs must be matched by social innovation. The final scenes are introspective, with Elon gazing at the stars and pondering humanity's potential and responsibilities. The closing lines emphasize a balanced message, celebrating human achievement while calling for humility and collaboration. This resolution invites readers to reflect on the complex interplay between ambition, ethics, and community, setting the stage for the continuing saga of Elon Musk's Mars dreams and the multifaceted human story behind them. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? As SpaceX's first crewed Starship mission successfully docked with the International Space Station, Elon Musk's vision for humanity's future seemed closer than ever. Yet, with this landmark achievement came a fresh wave of challenges, technological, social, and deeply personal, that tested Elon's resilience and forced him to confront the complexities of pioneering a new era. Chapter 10 begins in the aftermath of the mission's success, capturing a world buzzing with excitement and hope, but also grappling with questions about what it truly means to be a leader of such transformative change. The chapter opens with Elon navigating the whirlwind of media attention, public adulation, and renewed scrutiny. Interviews, talk shows, and headlines proclaiming him a visionary coexisted uneasily with lingering doubts and critiques fueled by past controversies. Elon's responses are measured and thoughtful, reflecting a growing maturity and an awareness that his influence carries both tremendous opportunity and responsibility. The narrative highlights his evolving approach to public engagement, balancing transparency with strategic communication, openness with caution. Behind the scenes, Elon works tirelessly to ensure that the next phases of Mars colonization remain grounded in rigorous science and ethical foresight. The story then shifts focus to the SpaceX teams preparing for the ambitious Starship mission to Mars itself, a feat never before attempted. Detailed descriptions of the engineering challenges, mission planning, and astronaut training immerse readers in the high-stakes atmosphere. Elon is portrayed as a leader who inspires but also listens, encouraging innovation while demanding accountability. The collaborative spirit within SpaceX flourishes amid the intense pressure, capturing the human drive that powers exploration. Interwoven with the technical narrative are scenes of Elon's personal reflections and interactions with family and close friends. These moments reveal a man learning to balance the relentless demands of his public life with the need for connection and emotional grounding. Past mistakes have taught him the importance of presence and empathy, themes that resonate throughout the chapter. The story explores Elon's ongoing efforts to rebuild and strengthen these relationships, underscoring the personal growth underpinning his public achievements. A significant subplot centers on a controversial proposal for Mars governance, initiated by a coalition of scientists, ethicists, and political leaders. The debate over how to structure society on Mars, balancing freedom, sustainability, and justice, sparks intense discussion both within SpaceX and the broader community. Elon's involvement in these conversations illustrates his expanding role not just as an engineer and entrepreneur but as a visionary thinker grappling with profound philosophical questions. The narrative portrays these debates with nuance, showing the tensions and possibilities inherent in crafting a new world. New characters emerge in this chapter, scholars, activists, and future astronauts, whose perspectives challenge and enrich Elon's vision. Their interactions with Elon reveal a dynamic interplay of ideas, values, and aspirations that reflect the complexity of building a future beyond Earth. The inclusion of diverse voices adds depth and realism, highlighting that no single person or entity can dictate humanity's destiny. Descriptions of the Martian environment, as envisioned by Elon and his teams, evoke a sense of awe and wonder. The barren red landscape, the thin atmosphere, and the promise of human settlement are depicted with vivid detail, creating a cinematic backdrop that underscores both the beauty and the harshness of the mission. These scenes emphasize the monumental scale of the endeavor and the courage required to undertake it. As the chapter progresses, the story builds toward the final preparations for the Mars mission launch. The tension is palpable, the culmination of years of work, hope, and sacrifice. Elon's leadership is tested as unexpected technical hurdles arise, requiring quick thinking and decisive action. The narrative captures the drama and uncertainty inherent in pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The chapter concludes with the launch itself, described in gripping detail from countdown to liftoff, the roar of engines, and the Starship's ascent toward the unknown. The successful launch rekindles a sense of wonder and optimism worldwide, symbolizing humanity's indomitable spirit and Elon's enduring dream. In a quiet, reflective moment after the launch, Elon stands beneath the vast night sky, contemplating the enormity of the journey ahead. His thoughts reveal a man shaped by triumph and trial, driven by vision but tempered by humility. The final lines of the chapter deliver a resonant message, that the path to the stars is not just about technology but about embracing our shared humanity, with all its flaws and potential. This chapter marks a powerful midpoint in the story, a moment of celebration and anticipation, complexity and hope, setting the stage for the unfolding saga of exploration, leadership, and personal transformation. As the Starship soared toward Mars, Elon Musk's dreams reached new heights, but so did the intensity of the challenges that awaited him both in space and on Earth. Delves into the unfolding drama of the historic mission and the personal, political, and social storms that continued to swirl around Elon's life. The chapter opens with the global community watching the spacecraft's journey with a mix of awe, hope, and apprehension. Broadcasts from Mission Control pulse with technical updates, while social media buzzes with excitement and debate. Elon, despite the magnitude of the moment, remains intensely focused, embodying the weight of responsibility borne by those who dare to push humanity beyond its limits. The narrative paints vivid scenes of the Mission Control Center, engineers monitoring every system, scientists calculating trajectories, and astronauts preparing mentally for their unprecedented role as pioneers on another planet. Elon's presence is palpable. He moves among the teams with calm determination, offering encouragement and absorbing feedback. The human side of space exploration is foreground, emphasizing collaboration and shared purpose. As the Starship approaches Mars, unforeseen technical anomalies arise. The narrative tension heightens as Elon and his team confront potential hazards that threaten the mission's success. The descriptions of problem-solving under pressure are detailed and immersive, illustrating the complex interplay between technology and human ingenuity. Elon's leadership is tested in real time, decisions made in minutes could determine the fate of the crew and the mission. Parallel to the mission drama, Elon faces mounting backlash on Earth. A new controversy erupts when a photo surfaces online, an image from a past event where Elon, caught in an unfortunate moment, appears to perform a gesture widely condemned for its historical associations. The backlash is immediate and fierce, reigniting old wounds and overshadowing recent achievements. Social media storms, news headlines, and public debates dominate the discourse, challenging Elon to address the issue once again. This subplot explores the volatile intersection of personal actions, public perception, and the lasting impact of symbols. Elon's response is swift and heartfelt. He issues a public apology, explaining the context and expressing deep regret for any offense caused. More importantly, he engages in open conversations with historians, social activists, and community leaders to better understand the weight of such symbols and to promote education and awareness. This moment of reckoning marks a significant point in Elon's personal growth, illustrating his willingness to confront mistakes honestly and to learn from them. The chapter juxtaposes the soaring hope of space exploration with the grounded realities of social accountability, creating a rich emotional texture that resonates deeply. Meanwhile, within SpaceX and Elon's broader network, efforts intensify to ensure that the mission's legacy is one of inclusivity, respect, and shared progress. New initiatives to promote diversity, education, and ethical leadership gain momentum, reflecting Elon's evolving commitment to lead by example. The story portrays these developments with nuance, showing the challenges and possibilities inherent in transforming culture. On a more intimate level, Elon's relationships continue to evolve. Scenes reveal moments of reconciliation, vulnerability, and connection with family and close friends, providing a counterbalance to the public storms. These personal glimpses underscore the human dimensions of leadership, the loneliness, the hope, and the quest for meaning. The narrative explores how Elon's experiences shape his understanding of love, forgiveness, and resilience. The chapter also introduces perspectives from the astronauts aboard Starship as they approach Mars, highlighting their courage, fears, and dreams. Their voices add richness to the story, emphasizing that exploration is a collective human endeavor, not just the vision of one individual. Descriptions of the Martian landscape grow more vivid as the spacecraft descends, red dust swirling, the horizon stretching vast and mysterious. The tension of landing unfolds with cinematic intensity, every second weighted with possibility and peril. When Starship touches down successfully, a wave of relief and triumph sweeps through mission control and beyond. Elon's reaction is deeply emotional, a mix of exhilaration and gratitude. The chapter closes with the first steps on Mars, symbolic and profound, marking a new chapter in human history. In these final moments, Elon reflects on the journey, the setbacks, the controversies, the hopes. His internal dialogue reveals a man transformed by challenge, driven not only by ambition but by a profound sense of responsibility to future generations. The concluding lines offer a powerful message about the complexity of progress, how vision and humility, innovation and empathy, must coexist to truly advance humanity's destiny. This chapter captures the thrilling convergence of triumph and trial that defines Elon Musk's Mars dreams and the ongoing struggle to reconcile a visionary future with the lessons of the past. With the Starship crew safely on Martian soil, shifts focus to the unfolding reality of humanity's first steps on another planet, and the complex fallout of Elon Musk's ongoing public controversies. The chapter opens with the astronauts establishing the first Mars base, their efforts detailed in vivid, immersive descriptions that capture the stark beauty and unforgiving environment of the red planet. Inside the habitat modules, the astronauts experience awe and isolation in equal measure, their communications back to Earth filled with hope but also raw honesty about the psychological and physical challenges they face. Elon watches these transmissions with a mixture of pride and responsibility, acutely aware that the success of this mission is both a technological marvel and a deeply human story. Parallel to these triumphs, the narrative revisits the backlash Elon faces on Earth over the resurfaced image linked to Nazi symbolism. The public debate intensifies, reflecting broader societal struggles with history, symbolism, and accountability in the digital age. Elon's past mistakes become a lens through which many examine the responsibilities of public figures in shaping culture and discourse. The chapter explores the complexity of these conversations without oversimplification, showing how difficult it can be to reconcile a person's vision and contributions with their errors and missteps. In response, Elon takes a proactive approach, launching educational initiatives in collaboration with historians, educators, and social activists aimed at promoting awareness about historical atrocities and the dangers of hate symbols. These programs seek to turn controversy into constructive dialogue and learning, underscoring Elon's growing commitment to social responsibility. At the same time, Elon grapples with his own feelings of guilt, frustration, and determination. Intimate scenes depict moments of reflection and vulnerability, Elon in quiet conversation with close confidants, wrestling with the public and personal costs of his past actions. These moments humanize a figure often seen only through the lens of headlines, showing the internal evolution of a man striving to do better. Meanwhile, back on Mars, the crew faces unexpected technical and environmental challenges. A dust storm threatens solar power generation, testing their problem-solving skills and teamwork. These high-stakes scenarios heighten the narrative tension, illustrating the precariousness of life beyond Earth and the need for resilience and adaptability. Elon coordinates with mission control, balancing encouragement with careful decision-making. The astronauts' stories add emotional depth, capturing their camaraderie, fears, and determination as they navigate unknown terrain. Mars colonization for humanity's sense of identity and community. Philosophical discussions among the crew and experts on Earth probe questions of governance, ethics, and the meaning of home. Elon participates in these dialogues, revealing a more reflective and collaborative leader engaged in shaping not just technology but society. New voices emerge in the narrative, Martian scientists, ethicists, and future settlers, whose perspectives enrich the story and emphasize the diversity of thought necessary for building a sustainable future. Descriptive passages immerse readers in the Martian landscape and the human experience of living on a distant world. The stark contrast between the red dust outside and the fragile warmth inside the habitat highlights both the alien nature of the environment and the tenacity of life. These details create a cinematic atmosphere that draws readers deeply into the story. As the chapter progresses, Elon confronts new pressures from political and corporate rivals eager to capitalize on space exploration. Tensions rise as debates over space resources, intellectual property, and national interests threaten to fragment the cooperative spirit needed for Mars colonization. Elon's responses emphasize diplomacy and shared goals, but the challenges illustrate the complexities of pioneering a new frontier amid competing agendas. The chapter's climax centers on a critical systems failure aboard the Mars base during a severe storm. The astronauts face potential catastrophe, and Elon's leadership is put to the ultimate test. The drama unfolds with gripping intensity, the coordination of crisis teams, the astronauts' ingenuity and courage, and Elon's emotional investment all portrayed in vivid detail. The successful resolution brings relief and renewed hope but also a sober recognition of the stakes involved. The chapter closes with Elon reflecting on the intertwined nature of human progress and imperfection. His internal monologue acknowledges that pioneering new worlds requires not only engineering brilliance but also humility, empathy, and a willingness to learn from mistakes, both personal and collective. The final lines reaffirm the story's central theme, that true leadership and vision are forged in the crucible of challenge, controversy, and growth. This chapter deepens the narrative complexity of Elon Musk's Mars dreams, blending exhilarating achievements with profound human struggles, and sets the stage for further exploration of ambition, responsibility, and redemption. Delves into the evolving social dynamics and unexpected tensions emerging on the Red Planet, alongside the ongoing battles Elon Musk faced back on Earth. The chapter opens with vivid depictions of daily life in the Mars habitat, scientists conducting experiments, astronauts tending to the hydroponic gardens, and explorers preparing for surface expeditions. These scenes create a richly detailed world where the fragile hope of a new civilization is both inspiring and precarious. Elon watches these developments closely, his mind oscillating between the triumph of human ingenuity and the daunting responsibility of guiding a fledgling society. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the fallout from Elon's earlier controversies continued to reverberate. A powerful new wave of criticism emerged from social justice groups, historians, and the general public, calling for accountability and greater sensitivity from influential figures. The narrative explores the complexity of these debates, highlighting how Elon's past actions sparked widespread reflection on leadership, privilege, and the long shadow of history. Elon responded by amplifying his commitment to education and dialogue, sponsoring programs that fostered understanding and reconciliation. These initiatives faced both praise and skepticism, underscoring the challenges of navigating public opinion in a polarized world. The chapter also introduces a subplot involving a group of activists who traveled to the Mars mission launch site to protest, demanding that the space program address issues of inequality and environmental justice on Earth before investing in colonization. Their passionate arguments sparked intense discussions within SpaceX and the broader community, forcing Elon and his team to confront difficult questions about priorities and ethics. These debates are portrayed with nuance, showing that progress in one domain does not negate responsibilities in another. On Mars, the settlers began encountering unexpected psychological strains. The isolation, harsh environment, and high expectations weighed heavily on the crew, leading to moments of conflict and introspection. Elon, through regular video calls and messages, encouraged resilience and unity, emphasizing that the success of Mars colonization depended not only on technology but also on human connection and empathy. The narrative explores the mental health challenges of pioneering a new world, portraying the astronauts as complex, relatable individuals grappling with loneliness, hope, and purpose. A significant focus of the chapter is the emergence of governance discussions within the Mars community. As settlers debated how to organize themselves, questions of democracy, authority, and shared values surfaced. Elon advocated for a system that balanced innovation and order, freedom and responsibility, highlighting the lessons learned from Earth's history. These dialogues enriched the story, showing the birth of a society grappling with age-old questions in a radically new context. The tension between individual ambition and collective welfare is a recurring theme, reflecting broader human struggles. Technological challenges continued as well. A critical experiment aimed at producing breathable air from Martian soil encountered setbacks, threatening the settlers' long-term sustainability. The crisis underscored the precariousness of life off Earth and the need for perseverance and creative problem-solving. Elon's leadership again proved vital. He coordinated experts worldwide, fostering collaboration across disciplines and borders. Descriptions of Mars' landscape, dust storms sweeping across the horizon, the faint Earth hanging in the sky, serve as powerful metaphors for both isolation and connection. The imagery reinforces the dual nature of exploration as a journey outward and inward. Meanwhile, Elon's personal life revealed new dimensions. He cultivated closer bonds with family and longtime friends, seeking refuge from public scrutiny in intimate moments of honesty and support. These scenes humanize Elon further, showing a man striving to balance extraordinary ambition with the fundamental need for love and belonging. The chapter also introduces a poignant encounter between Elon and a young Martian settler who questions the ethics of colonization. Their conversation delves into themes of legacy, sacrifice, and the meaning of progress, challenging Elon to articulate his vision with greater humility and clarity. This dialogue adds emotional depth and philosophical nuance to the story. Toward the chapter's climax, a new political challenge emerged on Earth. Competing space agencies and private companies formed alliances to challenge SpaceX's leadership in Mars exploration, fueling a contentious and high-stakes battle over contracts, patents, and public support. Elon navigated this shifting landscape with strategic acumen, forging new partnerships while defending his core principles. The corporate and geopolitical maneuverings add tension and complexity to the narrative, showing that the quest for space is as much about power and influence as it is about discovery. Elon standing alone beneath the vast Martian sky during a rare moment of solitude. He contemplates the enormity of his journey, from controversial moments on Earth to the fragile hopes planted on another world. His reflections underscore the story's central themes of vision, redemption, and the enduring quest to push humanity forward despite obstacles and doubts. The closing lines leave readers with a sense of both accomplishment and anticipation, as the saga of Elon Musk's Mars dreams and personal battles continues to unfold. Elon Musk grappling with the expanding weight of his public image and the high stakes of Mars colonization as both a technological frontier and a cultural battleground. The Martian colony had grown from a small outpost to a burgeoning community, with new settlers arriving in waves, bringing fresh energy but also new challenges. Elon found himself at the crossroads of innovation and controversy, his vision inspiring millions while simultaneously stirring renewed debates about history, accountability, and leadership. The chapter opens in Mission Control on Earth, where Elon and his team monitor the arrival of the latest cargo ship, loaded with critical supplies and scientific equipment. The room buzzes with tension and excitement, each successful delivery feels like a step toward turning dreams into reality, but the ever-present threat of failure looms large. The settlers on Mars are increasingly autonomous, taking on complex projects such as expanding the habitat, experimenting with sustainable agriculture, and exploring the planet's surface for resources. Elon communicates regularly with the crew, encouraging their pioneering spirit but mindful of the psychological strain caused by isolation and the harsh environment. The story paints detailed portraits of individual settlers, their hopes, fears, and the bonds they forge in this alien landscape. Back on Earth, Elon faces a media environment that oscillates wildly between hero worship and harsh criticism. The fallout from the earlier Nazi salute controversy continues to echo, fueled by social media campaigns, political commentary, and documentary investigations. New revelations surface about individuals connected to Elon's past who had espoused extremist views, reigniting discussions about the responsibility of leaders to address the ideologies they inadvertently enable. Elon responds by doubling down on initiatives promoting education, inclusion, and historical awareness. He sponsors global forums bringing together historians, activists, scientists, and policymakers to discuss how humanity can learn from its darkest chapters while striving toward a more just future. These efforts are met with mixed reactions. Some hail Elon as a leader willing to confront uncomfortable truths, while others accuse him of deflecting responsibility. The chapter explores these complex dynamics with nuance, underscoring how public figures are scrutinized in the digital age. Simultaneously, Elon's personal life becomes a sanctuary and a source of struggle. Scenes show him spending quiet moments with family and trusted friends, seeking solace amid the storm of public opinion. The narrative reveals a man wrestling with guilt, resilience, and the desire to grow beyond past mistakes. These intimate glimpses add depth and humanity to Elon's character. On Mars, tensions arise within the colony's leadership as differing visions emerge about how to govern and prioritize resources. Some settlers advocate for a democratic model emphasizing equality and shared decision-making, while others push for a meritocratic approach prioritizing expertise and efficiency. Elon, as a visionary but not an authoritarian, encourages open dialogue and compromise, stressing that the success of Mars depends on balancing innovation with community cohesion. The chapter vividly depicts these debates, highlighting the timeless challenges of building a society from scratch, magnified by the extraordinary circumstances of life on another planet. Technological hurdles continue to test the settlers. A crucial experiment to extract water from underground ice deposits hits unexpected complications, threatening the colony's sustainability. The astronauts' ingenuity and determination shine as they work around the clock to troubleshoot, while Elon mobilizes global experts in a coordinated response. These moments of crisis underscore the fragility and resilience of human endeavors. The narrative richly describes the Martian environment, the red dust storms, the stark horizon, and the faint blue glow of Earth in the sky, evoking a sense of isolation and wonder. Elon reflects on how the planet's beauty contrasts with its hostility, a metaphor for the broader journey of exploration and human ambition. A poignant subplot unfolds around a young Martian scientist who begins to question the ethical implications of terraforming Mars, worried about humanity's potential to repeat Earth's mistakes. Her conversations with Elon spark meaningful exchanges about stewardship, humility, and the responsibility to preserve the planet's natural state. These philosophical debates deepen the story's thematic complexity, challenging readers to consider the costs of progress. Meanwhile, political rivalries intensify on Earth as governments and corporations jostle for control over space resources and strategic advantages. Elon navigates these turbulent waters with a mix of diplomacy and assertiveness, advocating for international cooperation while protecting SpaceX's pioneering role. The stakes are high, and the global race for space becomes a metaphor for power struggles and the quest for legacy. The chapter's climax centers on a near-catastrophic solar flare that disrupts communications and threatens the Mars colony's power supply. The astronauts face a life-threatening situation, relying on emergency protocols and their training to survive. Elon's leadership from mission control is tested to the fullest, balancing calm decision-making with the emotional weight of potential loss. The crisis resolves with a mix of relief and sober reflection, reinforcing the precariousness of life beyond Earth. In the closing scenes, Elon stands beneath the night sky on Earth, gazing at Mars through a powerful telescope. His thoughts wander through the journey so far, the triumphs and setbacks, the controversies and hopes. He acknowledges that his path is far from perfect, but his commitment to pushing humanity forward remains unshaken. The final lines of the chapter resonate with the story's central themes. That vision requires courage, accountability, and a willingness to confront both the best and worst parts of ourselves in the pursuit of a better future. Elon Musk's Mars dreams, weaving together the exhilaration of discovery with the complexities of leadership and legacy, setting the stage for the continuing saga of innovation, redemption, and human resilience. Elon Musk at a pivotal moment both professionally and personally, as the Mars colony moves from survival to growth and his public controversies reach a new crescendo. The settlers on Mars are no longer just pioneers but the foundation of a potential new civilization, and Elon feels the pressure to ensure their success while managing his complicated image back on Earth. The narrative begins with a detailed account of a groundbreaking scientific breakthrough achieved by the Martian research team, an innovation in energy generation that could revolutionize life on Mars and reduce dependence on Earth resupplies. The excitement in mission control is palpable. Elon himself beams with pride as he congratulates the team. Yet, this moment of triumph is tempered by the ongoing scrutiny Elon faces from global media and social activists. Back on Earth, the controversy surrounding Elon's past gestures and comments resurfaces in a viral documentary that dives deep into his personal history, examining how his rise to power intersected with moments of insensitivity and misjudgment. The documentary sparks widespread debate, forcing Elon to confront the long shadow of public perception. Rather than retreating, Elon decides to engage directly with the criticism, agreeing to participate in a televised town hall with historians, activists, and the public. The dialogue is intense and raw, with Elon answering difficult questions about his past and expressing sincere remorse while also outlining his vision for a more inclusive and forward-looking future. This scene humanizes Elon further, showing a man willing to face his mistakes head-on while inspiring hope for change. Meanwhile, on Mars, the social fabric of the colony begins to show signs of strain. The rapid influx of new settlers brings cultural clashes, disagreements over resource allocation, and tensions between those prioritizing scientific research and those focused on building infrastructure and governance. Elon facilitates virtual meetings aimed at fostering cooperation and shared purpose, emphasizing that Mars is a new beginning for humanity, requiring patience, respect, and collective effort. The chapter explores these evolving relationships with nuance, portraying settlers as multifaceted individuals navigating extraordinary circumstances. Technological challenges continue to test the colony's resilience. A critical habitat module suffers damage from an unexpected meteor shower, forcing the settlers into emergency repairs. The tension is high, with detailed descriptions of the dust-filled skies, the isolation of the crew, and their determination to protect their fragile home. Elon coordinates with engineers on Earth to design innovative solutions, highlighting the power of global teamwork and creativity. On a more intimate level, Elon's personal journey takes center stage. He grapples with the loneliness inherent in his role as a visionary leader and public figure. Scenes show him reflecting on his relationships, some strained, some healing, and seeking moments of genuine connection amid the chaos. These glimpses reveal a man evolving, learning to balance ambition with empathy and vulnerability. A particularly poignant moment unfolds when Elon visits a museum dedicated to the history of space exploration, reflecting on the pioneers who came before him and the lessons their stories hold. This visit inspires renewed commitment to ethical leadership and the pursuit of knowledge for the betterment of all humanity. The chapter also introduces a compelling subplot involving a young activist who initially opposed the Mars colonization project due to concerns about neglecting Earth's problems. Over time, through dialogues and shared experiences, she becomes a nuanced advocate for sustainable space exploration that prioritizes equity and responsibility. Her evolving relationship with Elon adds emotional depth and philosophical complexity to the narrative. Political and corporate rivalries escalate as Earth's major powers seek to assert influence over Mars' future. Elon navigates these treacherous waters with strategic diplomacy, balancing competition with calls for international cooperation. These power struggles underscore the high stakes of space exploration as a geopolitical arena, reminding readers that progress often unfolds amid conflict and compromise. The chapter's climax centers on a critical vote within the Mars colony's provisional government to determine the framework for future governance. The debate is heated, reflecting divergent visions for Mars' political and social order. Elon's role is pivotal yet delicate. He advocates for a system that promotes innovation, fairness, and sustainability while respecting the settlers' autonomy. The vote's outcome signals a hopeful step toward unity but also acknowledges ongoing challenges. In the closing scenes, Elon stands alone outside the habitat under a sky ablaze with stars. He contemplates the extraordinary journey. His dreams, the controversies, the fragile community on Mars, and the uncertain road ahead. His reflections are filled with both resolve and humility, encapsulating the story's themes of vision, redemption, and human resilience. Elon Musk's Mars dreams by weaving together moments of scientific breakthrough, social challenge, personal growth, and political intrigue, setting the stage for the continuing saga of humanity's reach for the stars amid the complexities of identity, responsibility, and hope. The Mars colony as the first generation born on Mars prepares to come of age, adding layers of complexity to Elon Musk's vision of a multiplanetary future. The narrative immerses the reader in the daily life of these Martian-born children and teenagers, exploring how they navigate identity, culture, and belonging far from Earth. Elon watches these developments with a mixture of pride and introspection, recognizing that the dream of Mars is no longer just about technology or exploration but about building a true society with its own hopes and struggles. Meanwhile, on Earth, the backlash from Elon's past continues to ripple, but shifts in tone as some begin to acknowledge his efforts toward education and reconciliation. The media landscape remains polarized, but new voices emerge calling for nuanced discussions about growth, accountability, and the complexities of leadership in the digital era. Elon engages thoughtfully with these debates, reinforcing his commitment to transparency and social progress. The chapter vividly describes the Martian environment as a harsh but beautiful home for the new generation, from crimson dust storms to the sprawling habitat domes where children play and learn. The story emphasizes the unique challenges of growing up on Mars. The psychological effects of isolation, the yearning for connection to Earth, and the pressure of carrying humanity's hopes in their young shoulders. Elon supports educational initiatives focused on mental health, ethics, and cross-planetary citizenship, working closely with the colony's educators and psychologists. Social dynamics within the colony also evolve. Diverse cultural traditions brought by settlers from around Earth blend and sometimes clash, creating rich but sometimes fraught community interactions. Elon encourages cultural exchange programs and festivals celebrating this diversity, hoping to foster unity amid difference. The chapter explores these tensions and triumphs through vivid character interactions, making the Martian society feel authentic and alive. Technological innovation accelerates with the development of more advanced life support systems, including experiments in recycling waste and generating food sustainably. The narrative details the excitement and setbacks involved, underscoring the persistent ingenuity and determination of the settlers. Elon, ever the visionary, pushes for breakthroughs that could one day make Mars fully self-sufficient. The personal dimension deepens as Elon grapples with his legacy. Scenes depict him reflecting on his childhood, his early inspirations, and the controversial moments that have shaped public perception of him. Conversations with close friends and family reveal a man striving to reconcile the public figure with the private individual, learning to accept imperfection while aspiring to inspire. A particularly moving subplot follows a young Martian-born woman who seeks to connect with Earth, traveling to a remote communications array to attempt contact with distant relatives. Her story symbolizes the bridging of worlds and the human desire for belonging and understanding. Meanwhile, political tensions flare as Earth-based governments debate the legal status of Martian settlers and resources. Elon advocates for frameworks that respect Martian autonomy while ensuring fair collaboration with Earth, highlighting the delicate balance between independence and partnership. These debates are portrayed with sophistication, emphasizing the evolving nature of sovereignty in space. The chapter's climax unfolds as a major scientific discovery on Mars hints at the possibility of ancient microbial life beneath the surface. This revelation electrifies both the colony and the global scientific community, reigniting debates about ethics, exploration, and humanity's place in the universe. Elon seizes this moment to advocate for responsible stewardship and unity in the face of discovery. The tension between excitement and caution adds dramatic weight to the narrative. The chapter closes with Elon addressing the colony and Earth via a broadcast, reflecting on the intertwined destinies of both worlds and the responsibility that comes with pioneering a new chapter for humanity. His message is one of hope, humility, and shared destiny, encapsulating the story's core themes. Elon Musk finds himself balancing the thrill of scientific discovery with the weight of leadership in an environment that challenges every assumption about human society. The settlers continue to adapt to their harsh surroundings, expanding their infrastructure while forging social bonds that reveal the complexities of life on a distant world. The story immerses the reader in vivid descriptions of daily routines, from cultivating Martian crops in hydroponic farms to conducting geology expeditions on the red, dusty plains. Elon's role evolves as he focuses more on supporting the community's growth, investing in education, healthcare, and governance. These developments are contrasted with scenes on Earth, where Elon's public image remains a lightning rod of debate. New controversies arise, fueled by a resurfacing of social media clips and opinions related to the Nazi salute backlash. Opponents accuse Elon of failing to fully atone for his past, while supporters highlight his efforts to promote dialogue and inclusivity. The media's polarized coverage underscores the challenge of public leadership in the age of instantaneous communication. Elon decides to use this moment as an opportunity for transparency, participating in a global forum broadcast live to both Earth and Mars audiences. He openly addresses his critics, acknowledging mistakes and outlining concrete plans for further social initiatives. This candid engagement deepens the story's exploration of accountability and redemption. On Mars, a significant subplot centers on the first Martian-born generation entering adulthood. Their perspectives often clash with those of the Earth-born settlers, creating cultural and ideological tensions. A key character is a young woman activist who champions Martian independence and questions the legacy of Earth's colonialism. Her interactions with Elon and other leaders spark thoughtful debates about identity, governance, and the future of the colony. The narrative captures the nuanced dynamics of forging a new culture in an extraordinary context. Technological challenges continue to test the colony's resilience. A critical power system experiences intermittent failures, threatening life support and research. The settlers scramble to diagnose and repair the issue, showcasing their ingenuity and teamwork. Elon coordinates resources from Earth and encourages innovation, emphasizing that setbacks are part of the pioneering spirit. The tension and eventual resolution of this crisis are portrayed with gripping detail. Meanwhile, the chapter explores Elon's personal evolution. Scenes show him reflecting on the intersection of his dreams, controversies, and responsibilities. Private moments reveal his doubts and hopes, as well as his commitment to growth. Conversations with close confidants provide insight into his psychological complexity and resilience. A poignant moment occurs when Elon visits a memorial on Earth dedicated to victims of totalitarian regimes, including the Nazis, underscoring his ongoing struggle to reconcile his past actions with his desire to promote justice and humanity. The chapter also delves into geopolitical developments. Rival space agencies and corporations intensify efforts to establish their own Martian footholds, complicating international cooperation. Elon advocates for treaties and alliances to prevent conflict and ensure Mars remains a place of peaceful exploration. These diplomatic negotiations add layers of intrigue and realism to the narrative. The climax centers on a dramatic Martian dust storm, one of the largest recorded, which threatens the colony's survival. The storm's severity forces settlers into emergency shelters and tests their emergency protocols. Elon, monitoring from Earth, offers support and encouragement, embodying the dual role of distant leader and concerned caretaker. The storm eventually passes, leaving behind both damage and a renewed sense of community among the settlers. The chapter closes with a powerful scene, Elon standing beneath the night sky on Mars, reflecting on the fragile beauty of their existence and the enduring human spirit that drives them forward. His thoughts encapsulate the story's themes of perseverance, accountability, and hope. Elon Musk facing an unexpected crossroads as the Mars colony matures and the world below grows ever more divided over his legacy. The settlers, now numbering in the thousands, are establishing a unique Martian culture that balances innovation, survival, and the yearning for connection with Earth. Elon's vision of humanity as a multiplanetary species seems closer than ever, yet his past controversies, especially the lingering backlash over the Nazi salute incident, continue to complicate his role as both leader and symbol. The chapter begins with a detailed account of a major cultural event on Mars, the first official Martian Heritage Festival, a celebration designed to honor the diverse backgrounds of the settlers while forging a shared identity rooted in the challenges and triumphs of life on the Red Planet. Elon, both organizer and guest of honor, reflects on the festival's significance as a moment of unity and healing, a stark contrast to the divisiveness on Earth. The narrative vividly describes the festival's vibrant scenes, colorful displays of Earth traditions reimagined for Mars, music blending old and new, and heartfelt speeches emphasizing hope and resilience. At the same time, Elon prepares for a critical public appearance on Earth. A keynote address at the Global Space Summit, where he plans to confront the persistent shadows of his past head-on. As the summit approaches, the media frenzy intensifies. Some commentators predict a redemption arc, while others anticipate a backlash. Elon's team works meticulously to ensure his message is clear, emphasizing transparency, growth, and a commitment to ethical leadership. The chapter explores the preparation process, showing Elon's mixture of determination and vulnerability. In the lead-up to the summit, Elon also navigates personal relationships strained by years of public scrutiny and sacrifice. Scenes portray moments of reconciliation with family members and close friends, underscoring the human cost of visionary ambition. These intimate interactions add emotional depth and complexity to Elon's character. On Mars, the political landscape evolves as settlers debate the colony's future governance. A new proposal calls for a Martian constitution that enshrines individual rights, environmental stewardship, and democratic participation. Elon supports the initiative but urges caution to avoid repeating Earth's mistakes. These discussions highlight the colony's growing maturity and the challenges of creating a just society in uncharted territory. Meanwhile, a scientific breakthrough captures global attention, a novel technology developed by Martian researchers that dramatically improves life support efficiency. This innovation sparks hope for a fully self-sustaining colony and reignites enthusiasm for space exploration worldwide. Elon proudly credits the settlers' ingenuity and perseverance. The chapter also delves into the ethical questions raised by colonizing another planet. A series of debates unfolds involving philosophers, scientists, and settlers, addressing the balance between human progress and respect for Martian ecology. Elon participates actively, advocating for responsible exploration and humility in the face of the unknown. The chapter's climax centers on Elon's keynote at the Global Space Summit, delivered via a live broadcast linking Earth and Mars. His speech is candid and heartfelt, acknowledging past mistakes, including the Nazi salute controversy, and outlining his vision for a future where humanity embraces its diversity and shared destiny beyond Earth. The address resonates with many, sparking new conversations about leadership, redemption, and the power of science to unite rather than divide. Yet, it also reignites criticism from some quarters, illustrating the persistent complexity of public judgment. The summit's aftermath leaves Elon reflective but hopeful. He returns focus to the Mars colony, where settlers continue to build a society defined by resilience and cooperation. The chapter closes with Elon walking among the habitat domes under the Martian twilight, contemplating the immense journey behind and the uncertain path ahead. His thoughts reveal a man who has grown in wisdom and empathy, committed to the ideals of progress tempered by responsibility. Elon Musk, now deeply invested in the colony's welfare beyond the realm of innovation and vision, is thrust into a crisis that tests every ounce of his leadership and resilience. The malfunction begins subtly, oxygen levels fluctuate unpredictably, water recycling systems show signs of instability, and communications suffer intermittent blackouts. Initially, engineers scramble to isolate the source, fearing the failure of vital infrastructure could lead to catastrophe. Elon coordinates emergency task forces, drawing on expertise from both Mars and Earth, embodying the role of a hands-on leader despite the physical distance. The narrative captures the frenetic pace of problem-solving amid mounting tension, highlighting the collaboration, ingenuity, and grit of the settlers. As the crisis unfolds, interpersonal dynamics among the colony's inhabitants come to the forefront. The strain of uncertainty exacerbates existing cultural and ideological divisions, prompting intense debates about resource allocation and crisis management. Elon's attempts to mediate these conflicts reveal the complexities of maintaining unity in an environment where survival depends on cooperation. The story zooms in on a young engineer who emerges as a crucial figure in diagnosing the malfunction, a brilliant but overlooked talent whose dedication and fresh perspective prove vital. This subplot underscores themes of empowerment, recognition, and the importance of diverse voices in problem-solving. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the malfunction stirs a media frenzy that reignites criticism of Elon's leadership and the feasibility of colonizing Mars. Opponents seize on the crisis as evidence of hubris and recklessness, while supporters rally around the colonists' determination to persevere. Elon leverages this attention to advocate for increased funding, research, and international collaboration, framing the crisis as an opportunity for growth rather than failure. The narrative explores these contrasting perspectives with nuance, avoiding simplistic judgments. Personal moments intersperse the technical drama. Elon reflects on the burden of expectation placed upon him, the sacrifices demanded by his dreams, and the human cost of pioneering unknown frontiers. Scenes depict his quiet conversations with trusted advisors and moments of solitary contemplation beneath the Martian sky, revealing his evolving understanding of leadership as not just vision but empathy and humility. The malfunction's root cause is eventually traced to a previously undetected vulnerability in the colony's power grid, exacerbated by a recent solar flare. The settlers rally to implement a complex, risky repair plan involving spacewalks and innovative engineering solutions. The narrative vividly portrays the physical dangers and emotional stakes involved, creating a gripping climax of teamwork and bravery. As the repairs succeed and systems stabilize, the colony emerges stronger, with renewed confidence in its resilience. Elon's leadership is widely praised, though he remains mindful of the lessons learned. The chapter also explores the aftermath, efforts to redesign infrastructure with enhanced redundancy, new training programs for crisis preparedness, and initiatives to strengthen community bonds. These developments symbolize the colony's transition from fragile outpost to enduring society. The chapter closes with Elon addressing the settlers and Earth audiences via a live broadcast, emphasizing shared humanity, perseverance, and the collective spirit that fuels exploration. His words resonate as a call to unity and hope, framing the crisis as a defining moment in the ongoing saga of human expansion into space. Elon Musk and the Mars colony stand on the threshold of a new era. The crisis that had threatened the colony's survival has passed, leaving behind scars but also hard-earned wisdom. Elon's Mars dreams, once criticized and questioned, now shine as a testament to human tenacity and innovation. Yet, the lingering shadows of his past controversies, including the Nazi salute backlash, continue to provoke deep conversations about identity, redemption, and the responsibilities of leadership. The chapter opens with Elon walking through the habitat corridors, observing the vibrant life around him, children born on Mars playing in the parks, scientists discussing new projects, and settlers from diverse backgrounds sharing meals. This scene encapsulates the thriving community that has taken root against all odds. Elon's thoughts drift to the journey that brought them here, the dreams, the mistakes, the backlash, and the breakthroughs. The narrative weaves a rich tapestry of his inner reflections, revealing a man transformed by experience and driven by a vision larger than himself. The story then shifts to a public event, a Mars Day celebration broadcast to both Mars and Earth audiences. Elon delivers a keynote speech that is both personal and visionary. He acknowledges the controversies that have marked his path openly, emphasizing the importance of confronting mistakes honestly and striving to do better. He speaks passionately about the unity forged among the settlers and the shared responsibility of humanity to explore and protect new frontiers. The speech resonates widely, touching hearts and sparking dialogue across the globe. Elon's evolving philosophy on leadership and legacy. He shares candid conversations with close allies, discussing how setbacks and criticism have shaped his approach. These moments highlight themes of humility, perseverance, and the power of redemption. Interpersonal relationships also receive heartfelt attention. Elon reconnects with estranged family members, forging bonds strengthened by time and understanding. A key subplot follows a young Martian-born activist who, after initial skepticism, becomes a leading voice for ethical colonization and cultural harmony. Her journey symbolizes hope for the colony's future and the healing of divisions from the past. Technological and scientific progress continue, with the colony launching new projects aimed at sustainability, education, and expanding humanity's knowledge of Mars and beyond. Elon supports these initiatives, demonstrating a commitment to collective growth rather than personal glory. The narrative paints vivid pictures of the Martian landscape, sunsets casting a red glow over dunes, the quiet hum of life support systems, and the hopeful gaze of settlers looking toward the stars. Political tensions from Earth have eased somewhat, replaced by growing cooperation among spacefaring nations inspired by the Mars project's success. Elon plays a diplomatic role, advocating for peaceful collaboration and shared stewardship of space. The chapter's emotional climax occurs during a quiet moment where Elon stands outside the habitat, gazing at Earth, a small blue dot hanging in the blackness of space. He reflects on humanity's fragility and potential, recognizing that Mars is not just a destination but a mirror reflecting our hopes and flaws. This scene distills the story's core message: progress requires courage, reflection, and the willingness to embrace both light and shadow. The story closes with Elon addressing viewers directly, inviting them to consider their own journeys of growth and redemption. He leaves them with a powerful life lesson: life is full of surprises and challenges, but it is love, responsibility, and resilience that will always guide us forward. As the broadcast ends, the camera pulls back to reveal the sprawling Mars colony illuminated under the starry sky, a symbol of humanity's enduring spirit and the ongoing quest to find new beginnings. The kind of silence only found on Mars, thin, dry, expansive. Elon Musk stood alone outside Dome 4, watching the red dust swirl in lazy spirals across the horizon. Though the colony was more stable than ever, his mind wasn't at peace. Something about the stillness unsettled him, as if Mars itself was waiting for humanity's next move. The sun dipped low in the Martian sky, casting a pale golden glow over the settlement. Inside, people were preparing for a ceremony, the launch of the first child born on Mars back to Earth. It was a symbolic moment, a full circle, but it also stirred unease. This generation of Martians, born in low gravity, raised in artificial ecosystems, hadn't yet tested the journey home. And now they would. Elon watched as technicians loaded the shuttle, and in the quiet, memories returned: Twitter storms, media chaos, the salute photo that wouldn't die, the day he thought the public might abandon him for good. He remembered the shame, the calls for resignation, the endless headlines calling him a fraud, a fake visionary, a man who played too fast and loose with symbols and history. And yet, he had survived it. No, he hadn't just survived. He had evolved. He'd listened. He'd apologized. He'd grown. A voice crackled in his earpiece. "Elon, you coming in?" The launch windows tight. It was Mia Zhang, Mars Colony Communications Director, one of the sharpest voices to rise from the new generation. She had once publicly challenged Elon during a town hall. Now, they worked side by side. He tapped his mic. "Yeah. Just thinking about the journey." "Aren't we all?" she replied with a wry smile in her voice. Inside the gathering dome, hundreds of colonists had assembled. Flags from Earth's nations hung alongside the new Martian Unity banner, a simple design, 2 circles, one red, one blue, intersecting, symbolizing Earth and Mars in partnership. The crowd was diverse: engineers from Nairobi, botanists from Tokyo, welders from Des Moines, doctors from Caracas. There were no VIP seats. Everyone was equal under Mars' thin sky. Elon entered quietly, taking a seat near the back. He preferred not to dominate the moment. The spotlight belonged to Ava Serrano, 17 years old, born in the first maternity module on Sol 212. She had grown up in gravity 1/3 Earth's, had never walked in rain, never breathed unfiltered air. But she was brilliant, already a lead data analyst for hydro systems, and curious about the world she had never seen. Her mother, Camila, had tears in her eyes but held her head high. This was history, and everyone knew it. As the countdown began, Elon's thoughts drifted to Earth, not the Earth of media frenzy, but the real Earth, with its oceans and faults, cities and forests, chaos and beauty. He remembered how people said Mars was a way to escape Earth's problems. But he had never believed that. Mars wasn't an escape, it was a mirror. A test. The true question wasn't whether humanity could live on Mars. It was whether we deserved to. As the engines ignited and the shuttle lifted from the platform in a controlled blaze of white-blue fire, the dome erupted in cheers. Elon remained seated, smiling softly. His eyes followed the trajectory through the reinforced glass until the shuttle disappeared beyond the horizon. It struck him, this wasn't the end of a chapter. It was the beginning of something uncharted. The first return. The first Martian born to touch Earth soil. What would that feel like, for her? For Earth? For all of them? The rest of the day unfolded in celebration. Elon gave a short speech, brief, heartfelt, humble. He spoke of risk, learning, and community. He didn't mention the past controversies directly, but no one needed reminding. The weight of history hung in the air, but no longer like a burden. It was a part of the story, not the whole story. Afterward, Mia joined him at the observation deck overlooking the solar farms. "You ever think about going back?" she asked. Elon didn't answer immediately. "Every day. But I don't think I'm done here yet." She nodded. "Me neither." A pause. "You think they'll accept her?" He glanced at her. "Earth? Yeah. Ava. She won't fit into any box down there." "Maybe that's the point," Elon said. "Maybe she's supposed to break the boxes." That night, Elon sat in his private quarters, rereading a message he'd drafted months earlier but never sent. It was addressed to his harshest critics, some in the media, some in academia, even some former colleagues. It wasn't a rebuttal or a defense. It was a reflection. He considered sending it now, but instead, he opened a new file. He began writing a public letter, not just to critics, but to the next generation. He started with, "To those who will never know a world without the stars above 2 planets." The letter touched on what Mars had taught him, not about rocketry or systems engineering, but about grace, responsibility, and human nature. He admitted things he had once avoided, how ego clouded judgment, how symbols carry weight even when intention is absent, how trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. But it was also a letter of hope. He wrote of the settlers he'd watched grow, of the breakthroughs they'd achieved, of the laughter that now echoed in the domes. He ended the letter with a challenge: "May you question everything, including me. May you build not in my shadow, but in your own light. May Mars not be the escape from Earth's flaws, but the beginning of a wiser world." He saved it, scheduled it for public release at the next Sol. Outside, Mars was quiet again. No launches, no alarms, just stars and wind and the low hum of humanity surviving where none should. Elon lay back on the cot, staring up at the steel ceiling. He wasn't the man he had been when this all began. He no longer needed to be the loudest voice in the room. He didn't need to be right every time. He just needed to keep showing up. For the dream. For the people. For whatever came next. And so, as Mars turned beneath him and Earth spun far above, Elon Musk, visionary and villain, builder and flawed human being, closed his eyes. Not to escape, but to rest. For tomorrow, there would be another sunrise over a red horizon, and another chance to get it right. Again. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?